Hello, everyone. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you.
It's so good to see you and to be here with you. Welcome to the Kids on TV studio at Mount Sinai Crevice Children's Hospital, which you are familiar with. And I would love to learn a little bit more about your experience here in this hospital. If you could start just by sharing, how did you come to Mount Sinai Children's Hospital? When was that, and what was happening for you?
Yeah, it was the summer of last year, of 2023, and I was on a trip in Costa Rica. It was a teen tour. We were doing community service for dogs. We would walk dogs up and down a hill, get them some exercise, feed them, take care of them for half the day. And then for the other half of the day, we would do fun things like zip lining or going in like different like resorts, staying at them, beaches, and it was fun. But I wasn't doing too well during that time. It was a lot of medical issues that I was going through, and I wasn't able to really appreciate, I guess, all of that was going on. I tried, but I guess I was really tired all the time. I was not getting sleep, and something was off, and my digestion wasn't good. My whole body was kind of shutting down. I was scared. I was away from home. So then I had to actually visit the doctor in Costa Rica, and she didn't see anything too abnormal. She saw my heart rate was a little low and some things were off, but my mom and I both decided that we didn't want to risk anything. So, and luckily we made the right decision. I flew home like a week in, and on the flight home, my body really shut down. My heart rate was really, really low. It was hard to breathe. I was kind of like fading in and out. So right when I landed, my mom rushed us to the hospital here, and I got an IV and I stabilized, but there were still a lot of concerns that we had to address, obviously, and it was just a very scary and anxious time for sure.
Yeah. So, Jacob, I realized that life has a way to surprise us with, unpleasant events, and of course, feeling ill is not a fun thing anytime. But how were you feeling when you actually arrived in the hospital?
Yeah, so I was definitely not feeling good. I had no energy, even on the liquid IV. I wasn't fully conscious. I was in and out kind of. I had all kinds of pain in my body. I mean, mainly it was in my stomach. I had a lot of pain there. And most of all, so I forgot to mention before, actually, I lost a lot of weight from just the week I was in Costa Rica. I lost about 20 pounds. So even just more of the pain was kind of just looking at myself in the mirror, just not recognizing what I saw in my reflection, more so than anything physical. I mean, I did have physical symptoms, mainly the stomach symptoms, but really looking at myself in the mirror was tough.
And you spent about a week or so in the hospital?
I think it was 6 days. Yeah, 5 or 6 days. Something like that.
And that's when we met. I think when I met you, Jacob, I remember that you were in pain. That was visible, and part of the intervention that I offer here as a therapy is to provide mindfulness training. And when we met, you actually told me that you knew already about mindfulness. It was not a new concept. So what exactly did you know about it at that point?
Yeah, so in school, I think they do a decent job in my school at exposing you to it through a health class. I had a great health teacher, and every day she would lead us through a meditation in the morning, and I was like, wow, this feels really good. I never pursued it outside of that, but I knew there was something good about it, and I liked it. And I always did yoga, and I know there's kind of a connection between meditation and yoga for sure. So it was always kind of like in the backgrounds, but I never really did my own practice. So it wasn't until I met you that I really engaged with it, which is nice.
Yeah, I want to hear more about that. But before we go there, Now I'm very curious because I work with people from different backgrounds, different age groups, and I'm very curious. Your folks, the people that you are with in school or at work or even at home, what's your perception of mindfulness yoga? What do you think it's people do or do not do? And is mindfulness as popular as we think it is, or maybe it's not? I don't know. What's your take?
Yeah, my answer is going to be honest. It's,
Yes.
I think a lot of people my age, with social media and just the way society is at the moment, they don't really sadly want to give mindfulness a chance. It's just kind of takes too much time, even 10 minutes. It's just too much of an investment, even though it really isn't. And that was at first my point of view, but if you really just take 10 minutes to start to engage with it, you see it's not that big a deal. A little bit every day can go a long way. And I think a lot of people aren't into the yoga and mindfulness, but they should be, especially my age. So hopefully it will become more popular.
I think I was so impressed that you took in the exercises and the different ways to approach mindfulness. But what I was really impressed about is your discipline in actually using those tools. And that's rare. It's not always that we get to work with people who say, hey, there's value here. I cannot do that work for anyone. As you know, it's about inner work. So why did you take this practice so seriously?
That's a good question. I think part of it is in general. I have a lot of discipline. I think in school I like working hard consistently. Just it's good to see when hard work pays off and you know when you've put in the work. And I think one time you also shared with me a meditation for athletes. I think, I don't know if I consider myself an athlete, but I really love going to the gym, and I think the discipline from that can kind of spring into other aspects of life. So that kind of sets me off on the right track. With other things, it's like when I can go to the gym for this much of time, it's like I can do anything else. And it's like, what is 10 minutes of mindfulness meditation is really actually you're taking your stress out, and it's fun, and it doesn't feel like work. It's just, if you're consistent with it over just a little bit, it becomes engraved in your routine, and it feels really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you picked up that part of athletics, right? You need to put the work in order to achieve your goals. Discipline is part of life, and in art as well. An artist will study a technique, put on the time to understand the materials, and then draw from inspiration. So there are many ways to approach mindfulness, and it's one of the reasons that we are so grateful and so inspired by you accepting this role with the Reflections magazine. Reflections is a team-driven project in which a publication is made available. It combines artwork, writing, and many activities around the theme, and we are so happy that just today you presented us with a theme for this particular issue that's going to come out in a few months.
Yeah.
Could you please unveil for all of us the theme for Reflections Winter 2024-2025 with Jacob Lieser?
Yeah, so we revealed today the theme is Patience Through the Storm. And I thought just for anybody in the hospital who's going through a tough time, I know for me, it's kind of like, oh, I just want to get out of here. I just want to go back to my life. But you just have to have some patience and know that it will be okay. And it's a good metaphor of a storm, whatever it may be, or maybe not even in the hospital, just whatever you're going through, just be patient and it's going to be okay.
Such a cool theme, and I love how you're putting metaphors there for us to engage with. So then mindfulness transcended your experience in the hospital. So what happened after you left the hospital? How did you start to incorporate mindfulness?
So I don't know if anybody out there, I know you probably are familiar with the app Insight Timer. It's a really, I love it. It has like free meditation and mindfulness practices, 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever time you want. And there's one meditation ever since the beginning of the year, ever since I left the hospital, it's a vagus nerve meditation. So it really like calms you down. It has like a lot of different breathing techniques in it. It has something called breath of fire in it, where you like rapidly inhale and exhale. And in the morning it kind of just like gets me going and sets me off on the right track. So I mainly go on Insight Timer and use that for meditations, and it has a daily check-in on there as well to see how you're feeling, like all your moods. Like today I'm feeling bored, tired, anxious, or happy, excited, confident.
Yeah, and we're going to explore in the magazine those techniques, offering activities for anyone who is reading or engaging with exercises like the ones you mentioned. I actually made a quick list of some of the techniques we did, and a lot of them involve breath awareness, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Do you remember the 2 feet, 1 breath practice? Would you just guide us quickly in that one?
Sure.
And for anyone out there watching us, you are most welcome right now to pause. Jacob will guide us into this short mindfulness practice.
Okay, so stand up straight and relax. You can close your eyes if you want to, and just be here in this present moment, thinking about nothing else. And put both of your hands on your 2 knees and slowly lift up your right foot and slowly press it down. And slowly lift up your left foot and slowly press it down. And just take a deep breath in and out.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow. I feel more calm.
I do too.
Yes. So that's one of the techniques that it's very accessible for most people. But I also know that you used other ones that involved a practice of journaling and specifically gratitude as a mindfulness practice. And you know, a lot of people, when they hear about the gratitude practice, they don't really know how to do the practice, how to engage with it. So before I turn the questions over, would you share with us what this practice of journaling and gratitude has done for you?
Definitely. I like to just keep it simple when I do journaling. I just write 3 things I'm grateful for. My dad kind of helped me with that, set that routine for me. Whatever it is, if it's my health or my family or a certain thing I have to do, I think it sets me off on the right track for the day and just makes me grateful for everything that's going right in the day. And sometimes I'll just write about my feelings throughout the day. If I'm feeling sad or anxious, then just writing it out on paper always seems to help. Or if I'm feeling good, also writing it out on paper seems to help a lot.
And hopefully we'll add the pleasant events and unpleasant events journaling in this issue as well. But now I'm even more curious. You're saying, did I hear you say that you are engaging your family with these practices?
My
How
dad,
is that?
My dad is actually, I really love my dad. He's my best friend, and he kind of like, I took the journaling idea from you, but then when he was younger, he told me he used to always like say 3 things he was looking forward to. That's like what he used to do. And so I kind of borrowed that technique from him. And maybe I can get him to start doing that again.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And other people in your family, who else do you spend time with?
My mom also influenced me a lot with those things. She has done her yoga teacher training like you, I know, and she loves mindfulness and meditation as well. We often do it together in the morning.
That's so cool.
Yeah, whenever we can. And I'm grateful that I have them in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have siblings as well?
I do. I have an older brother. He's 21. He goes to school at Buffalo, and he also likes meditation. We just did a jiu-jitsu class the other day together, and at the end, the teacher sat us down for a meditation, and we did that together, which
Oh,
is
wow.
nice. Yeah.
That's really, really nice. And, you know, I could go on asking you so many questions, but I'm also aware that you are preparing for a new phase in your life, starting a new school year. How are you feeling about preparing for this new important phase?
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous for sure. It's a new way of life. I'm used to my own bed, my own room, so I'm gonna have to get used to being away from home and being away from my family. But I think in a couple months' time, I'll be used to it. It'll be like a second home, and using these practices, I'll be able to calm myself down if I'm ever homesick or anxious for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I do. I continue using them. And that's what mindfulness can be, a very personal approach to life. I often remember one of my teachers that I shared with you, John Kabat-Zinn. He says meditation is not a technique, it's a way of living life. So thank you so much for sharing about your trajectory in this year alone. It seems to me that you really explored life at a much deeper level due to the conditions, but you made lemonade out of those lemons.
Yeah.
And this is really, really cool.
All right. So now I'm going to ask you some questions. My first question is, what was your first experience with mindfulness and meditation?
My first experience ever?
Ever, yeah.
My first mindfulness meditation experience was actually my mother, who was a physician. I was about 9 years old and very type A personality, already feeling the stress of taking exams. And I asked her for a pill because I realized that she could prescribe medication. And she sat me down and said, look, I don't think you really need to take anything, but here's what I do. And that was intriguing to me, that she was sharing with me something very personal that she herself was using. And if you want to try, you place one hand on your chest, the other one on your belly, and you can close your eyes for a moment. And through the palms of your hands, you start to notice the movement of the breath in your body. Chest, rib cage, belly, expanding and contracting. And you don't need to think about the breath. You just feel the movement, the rhythm of each breath through touch, through the palms of your hands. And it usually takes me about 2 or 3 of those. And that was my first experience ever. I was not very happy with it, to be honest with you, because I want the pill. I was convinced that that would be the easier way. Yeah. And now I'm very grateful because my mom, she didn't make a joke out of it. She didn't take it too seriously. She shared something very accessible that I think we can learn at any age. The breath is always available. And that was my first practice, awareness of breathing.
Definitely. That's a good story. What is your favorite part about meditation, and how does it help you in your daily life?
So I've been doing this for a few decades now, and I think I was, around your age when I realized that it was up for me to use the tools, unless I did something consistently, it wouldn't necessarily be beneficial. So I've been doing almost daily a practice of meditation. My favorite part is that I usually sit with resistance. There's a part of me that even in the morning to this date, it's like, oh no, there's something better that I should be doing right now. Maybe I need another cup of coffee. Maybe I should check my phone, or whatever. And then I convince myself, no, just sit here for a moment. I often start with the awareness of breath practice. And then there is something that happens around maybe, if it's a 20-minute meditation, halfway into it, there's a part of my experience that settles in. something shifts, and I think it's my nervous system, my brain, that suddenly go into what we call the relaxation response. So the second part of my meditation usually is chill, and I am in a place where I'm not so worried. And then as I move on to whatever I have planned for the day, I feel that I have that inner support. It's almost like a place I can go back to, and the breath becomes my reminder. Oh, that's right. I can take another breath. I can come back to this happy place, and then I can move on and do something else. And because I've been doing this for so long, I've noticed that all that type A personality that I developed over the years, which is really, what we call control freak.
Yeah.
So that control freak part of me has a way to be present but not run the show.
Yes.
Because when I let that part of me run the show, that's when anxiety, even depression shows up. And it's been an incredible experience. Very grateful for these techniques to guide my life and really experience life from a place of joy. Because what else is life if not for something we can be joyful and grateful about, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Thanks for asking that question.
It's
it's a cool one.
And I think I'm also a type A personality, so it's good to kind of just take a minute to de-stress and let that stuff go away.
I agree.
So I know you said we both like reading. Do you think there are similarities between meditation and reading in some ways?
Yeah, very much so. You mean when you're actually opening a book or reading something, right?
Yeah, like a long, when you're investing 30 minutes at a time to just reading a book page by page and sitting through a 20-minute meditation. I think there's a way that those two things are similar.
Yeah, I think there's this field of awareness that you can expand almost like a bubble. So for example, here in the hospital, we work with many types of therapies, right? Mindfulness meditation is one of them, but we have also art therapists, we have music therapists, we have the video therapists in the studio environment. We have even pet-assisted therapies in which we get to engage with the dogs who work with us here. And so every time we turn our attention towards a activity that requires focusing this awareness, right? Like reading a book, could be fiction, or it could be a scientific journal or anything. It could be the news even, right?
Yeah.
There's something that happens there. Like, I know you like reading. You lose yourself in reading.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you go to another place.
Yes.
So that's the power of the mind. I call the mind a time traveler because we can actually go anywhere in time just by using imagination, whether we are reading something or watching a movie or even engaging with poetry, which is my favorite reading time. My mother was also a poet, and we grew up reading a lot of poetry. So I lose myself in this meditative state of reading poetry. Yeah. What's your favorite stuff to read these days?
Definitely not poetry. Too complex for me. But I think it's cool. It's really cool. But I like more, I guess, just fiction, just classic, mystery, James Patterson, or some legal thrillers like Michael Connelly.
Mm-hmm.
Books that really make you focus in and have you use your concentration to want to know what happens next. Those kinds of books.
Yeah. Those are the great authors too. So my favorites in poetry that bring often mindfulness to it, if you ever want to explore, Mary Oliver, very famous American poet, wrote beautifully about mindfulness in nature even. And Mark Nepo, also a very gifted poet and writer. So those are our favorites. And Jacob, I think we should come up with a reading suggestions for reading to include in the magazine as well. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That people can look at fiction and other types of readings as a way to practice mindfulness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Any other questions or?
Yeah, I'll do one more question. Do you think there are any specific benefits for practicing meditation and mindfulness in the hospital?
Yes, as you know so well, the hospital is a very stressful environment. Whether you're working here as a provider or you're here receiving treatment, it's very noisy. There are tons of things happening all the time. So if you are here as a patient, you are dealing with a crisis in your life. No matter what it is, it's going to have an impact. And that impact can go in many directions. Oftentimes, with discomfort and pain, we also add mental stress and emotional stress. So the benefits of bringing mindfulness and meditation to the hospital is to have this experience as a human being, a holistic experience. We're not just the body receiving medical treatment. We're also our thoughts, we're also our feelings and emotions. And I think mindfulness has a way to integrate all these aspects of who we are. So if I have one word, it would be integration. That we come together again as wholesome human beings, no matter what type of crisis we're faced with. Thank you for that question, because it's very deep. And I hope our viewers and our readers will have time to also reflect on how to manage any crisis in life.
Yeah.
And may this partnership with you here be an inspiration. And of course, your story, your incredible journey in this last year alone, may it be an inspiration for all of us. So thank you for joining us here. And we look forward to seeing what else we're going to come up with for our mindfulness issue of reflections. So thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.